Chapter 5, Raising a Giant by Bob Crisp. The Art versus the Science. Quote, "Nothing splendid has ever been achieved except by those who dared believing that something inside them was superior to the circumstances." Bruce Barton. Like many of you, I have for years been awed by the price of old paintings. Probably the most valuable and most well-known painting in the world hangs in the Louvre in Paris. Leonardo da Vinci's The Mona Lisa. On my first trip to Paris a few years ago, my traveling companions and I decided that we should all see the Louvre as well as the Eiffel Tower, the Notre Dame Cathedral, and other well-known Paris landmarks in a grand stretch of 36 hours. This is power tourism for sure. We made the Louvre with our second stop with the express purpose of seeing the Mona Lisa. Because vandals had damaged the painting the previous year, the curator of the museum had placed bulletproof glass over the painting. A crowd of 80 to 100 people milled around the greatest painting in the world. As I stood there and examined this magnificent work of art, I was at a loss as to why the painting was so valuable. It wasn't the beauty of the lady in the painting. I thought we have girls back in America that are much prettier. Certainly she was no fashion statement. The reason for my confusion was simple. I didn't have the training to be able to appreciate the subtle hues and tones or masterful brushwork of the way Da Vinci captured her beguiling smile. In short, I was looking at the wrong elements of the painting. Network marketing is an art as well as a science. It is not our intent here to establish the science in detail, but to explore the art form. To appreciate the masterful way people who know this art build great businesses takes years of training. What must be learned to build a large, successful network marketing organization is the difference between the art and the science. The science of the business is the technique of building depth, memorizing sales tracks and business presentations, knowing how to use your internet-driven back office. Internet note: e-marketing is today's version of the CDs that worked when done correctly. It can provide you with so many of the benefits previous systems lacked. Find out from your upline or company what system they use for e-marketing solutions. And if they don't exist, try www.allaccessmedia.com. www.allaccessmedia.com. Making the bonus plan work for you. Necessary things to know and use. But it is not how well you memorize sales tracks that count. It is how well you deliver the sales track that puts bacon on the table. Make use of online videos and dynamic internet tools to shortcut the road to success. Michelangelo could have painted houses, but he would have been an unknown painter, not a world-famous artist. Anyone can learn and teach the science of the business. It may take years before you learn the difference between doing and teaching, between activity and accomplishment, between innovation and duplication, between emulation and imitation. Study with the masters and become a master. I know many people who can sponsor and teach the science with great proficiency, but cannot seem to put together a cohesive unit or organization with staying power. They lose bodies as fast as they sponsor them and inevitably find themselves at odds with emerging leaders within their downline group. The basic ability that most of us possess to deal with people at the entry level is inadequate to deal with leaders who are growing in income and changing their self-image. Egos become inflated, feelings get hurt, and the simple little business we started with gets very complex and stressful. To deal with this growing phenomenon, we must learn the art form of the business. This study takes a good deal of time and experience. Confidence and power come only with experience. I can show you what to look for, how to sharpen your eye and hone your skills, but to be a leader in network marketing, you must lead. The word leader is a verb, not a noun. Vince Lombardi, the deceased fabled coach of the Green Bay Packers, said, "The new leadership is in sacrifice. It is in self-denial. It is in love. It is in fearlessness. It is in humility. And it is in perfectly disciplined will. This is also the distinction between great and little men." Leadership is an art form. The style in which we perform our tasks as leaders becomes just as important as to the substance of our tasks. Just as it takes time to learn to paint or sing at a professional level, so it takes time to learn the nuances of the network marketing industry. Dealing with our own egos as we learn is perhaps the hardest job of all. We have a tendency to take the stance that since we are good enough to get where we are, we must be good enough to go on. The fact is, what got you here won't take you there. Personal growth is essential. It is a desirable part of living. The art form of network marketing lies mostly in how we deal with the stresses and strains of a dynamically changing and growing business. Notice the way people change as they begin to gain in confidence. They take on interesting new traits. They even walk differently. Their attitudes change and they notice what you do more. The Dale Carnegie people spend hours teaching their students to shake hands and smile, to look others in the eye when talking to them. The skills developed in communication aren't learned in a classroom, but honed on the streets and in the living rooms and dens of new distributors. Maxwell Maltz, in his book Psycho-Cybernetics, tells of the positive changes which occurred in many of his patients after surgery, but marveled at the lack of change in others. It amazed and confused him that he could perform the same basic surgery on two different patients, and one would look in the mirror and see a beautiful new face, while the other, whose physical results were equally beautiful, would look in the mirror and see the same scarred and ugly creature that she was before the surgery. It was then that he realized the importance of self-image. They said of Lombardi that he seemed to know who to pat on the back and who to kick in the backside. A reporter asked him one day how he learned to do this so well. He replied, quote, "I kicked the ones I should have patted, and I patted the ones I should have kicked until I learned to tell the difference," end quote. His skills with his players came from years of doing it wrong. When working with people, you can throw the sciences out the window. For as certain as God made little green apples, people will surprise you. The National Football League has an interesting system for keeping the balance of power in the league. They allow the worst teams from the previous year to draft the best college players for their team. This should mean that the worst teams become the best and the best become the league doormats. The fact is that the best teams always seem to be near the top. The reason for this is that winning teams seem to get more out of their players. Most agree this is art. The science of blocking and tackling, passing and running are the same. But in a league made up of teams stocked with All-Americans, the ones who remain at the top are the ones who apply the art form better than the rest. Study the way someone you admire speaks or smiles or shakes hands, and the way they treat people. Study the way they apply the laws of prosperity. You'll soon notice that they have ways of attracting quality distributors as well as getting more out of distributors who would normally be considered average at best. They have a knack of moving people along to the next level. Their products are the same as yours. They get the same bonuses, only theirs is bigger. They just seem to have it. Luck, you say? Sure, some people seem to be luckier than others, but this happens far too often to ascribe the continued success of others to mere luck. Learn the art form, and you will be luckier too. Just as fundamentals such as blocking and tackling are important in football, so are the basics of network marketing in the continued success of your organization. The science consists of contacting and inviting, retailing the product, teaching and speaking with clarity, follow-up and follow-through techniques and staging events, online webinars, podcasts, and live events. There have been hundreds of books written about these subjects, and they will each bring you some added skill and information that you will find helpful. Here we want to focus primarily on the study of the art form, leadership development, and the dynamics of groups and organizations. Don't leave out the science, however. It is the element of study that you must not miss. The principle of art in network marketing is simple. Multiply your efforts by teaching others to do what you do. For the effort, you will receive a handsome reward. Why do so many people, miss the mark? A look at modern business will reveal that most people going into business for themselves are not skilled entrepreneurs as one believes, but technicians with good ideas, but with little sense of what is going to be required to turn them into successful business ventures. Today, anyone wishing to be in business for themselves is looking at a six-figure investment and 80 to 90-hour work weeks to accomplish any degree of business. The entrepreneur of today must be good at marketing and sales, accounting and inventory control, as well as being well versed in data processing, management, and possibly manufacturing. The network marketing industry provides would-be entrepreneurs with the training ground for success, a place where you can explore the areas you are weakest in and get help from someone who's been there before. A good network marketing company has training and business development programs which are staged or incrementally allowed to allow you to grow at your own space. Cookie-cutter growth programs rarely work, since we are all coming into the business with varying degrees of experience. Society has taught us to look in the wrong places for the answers. Many stumble around years gathering knowledge and forgetting wisdom. I call these people the educated ignorant, the great unwashed group who worship at the altar of information but miss the entire point of life, that we are looking for results, not mere information. In a Broadway show, Dreamgirls, a soul singer named Jimmy sees his career going on the rocks. He storms off stage after one of his miserable performances and shouts at his manager and his girlfriend, "These songs don't work anymore." The manager replies, "That's because, Jimmy, you don't trust the words, and Jimmy, you don't trust the music." Like Jimmy, so many of us go through life crucifying our careers and destroying our opportunities because we haven't learned to trust the music. We have gone deaf to the harmonies of life and have allowed ourselves to wander aimlessly about. In your quest for network marketing success, you will be confronted daily with people who suffer from lack of trust. They will look up to you to tell them what to do to be successful, then freeze up with fear because they don't trust you or the information. The information is the music. The temptation is to give them the same old tired song and dance of see the people and sell the products. But if that was the cure, they would have cured themselves. They already know they need to see more people. And as for selling more products, they don't have to be told twice that the key to making money is selling products. So what's the answer? And where do you learn to handle these not so easy to answer questions? The answer is leadership. Working with people is pure art. Being a leader or dealing with people who are not focused, committed to their own goals or objectives, it's up to you to steer them in the right direction or keep them in long enough for someone to turn them around. Early in someone's business experience, you should look to form a bond of trust that will lead the way for them to make a commitment to their business success. Try to get them to understand that your sincere desire for their success is a win-win. The only philosophy that will work for you both is a win-win philosophy. The philosophy, hopefully, will lead the new distributor to the point of making a long-term commitment to go beyond the pain to find the gain. Early in the game, let them know that success won't come easy, but it will be worth the price they have to pay. This coincides with the practice of telling the customer less and giving those more rather than delivering less than you promised. Unreasonable expectations can produce devastating disappointment. Kathy Miller was a young girl about 14 years old when she crossed Scottsdale Road in front of a car doing 50 miles an hour. The crunch of her young body against the front of the car could be heard a mile away. When the ambulance arrived, they pronounced her dead on the scene. Then her hand moved slightly and the paramedic found a pulse. She was transferred to a hospital and put in intensive care. She lay in a coma for several weeks. Her weight dropped to just over 70 pounds. The doctor told her family not to expect her to ever come out of the coma. Her mother, Barbara, refused to give up hope. She bathed her, she combed her hair, told her how beautiful she was, and prayed for her constantly. Then one day, Kathy awakened. Like some sleeping angel, she opened her eyes. She couldn't talk, walk, or even feed herself, but she was alive. Her parents took her home, fed her, bathed her, and carried her like a baby. Slowly, Kathy began to recover. They taught her to eat with a fork and to walk with a walker, but still, she was discouraged, depressed, and listless. Kathy's mother said to her one day, "Kathy, you've got to stop counting the empties and you've got to start counting the blessings. Kathy Miller, you need a goal. What do you want to do more than anything in the world?" Kathy Miller, who had been a runner before the accident, said, "I want to run again." Run? Why? She could hardly walk. But Kathy's mother said, okay, run it is. It took a while, but Kathy Miller, who only months before was pronounced dead on a Scottsdale, Arizona street, ran in the Phoenix Marathon. Oh, now, you won't find her name among the finishers, no. As a matter of fact, if you were there watching the race, you would have been the last to leave except for the Miller family. Some 14 hours after the starter's gun sounded, Kathy came trotting along, slowly dragging one foot into the stadium, sweat pouring from her body and agony on her face. She had finished the race. All right, her father yelled, still a mile from the finish. You've made your point. Stop. Give it up. Everyone else has gone home. It's just you. Let's go home. But little Kathy Miller was having nothing to do with quitting. She simply brushed her father aside and continued her quest and said, I may not win, but I'm going to finish the race. What makes a winner? Is there a such thing as a born winner? I don't think so. I think Kathy Miller was a product of parents who wouldn't give up on her. She was a result of doctors and nurses who wouldn't quit attending to her most personal and private needs. I have little patience or sympathy for quitters, but I am long-suffering and patient with those who get up every morning to slay the dragons in their lives. These are the true giants. I believe that winning is a learned thing. So is losing. I believe that losers can become winners and that winning is an art form taught by winners. Study winners. Study their habits. Study their speech. Study what they wear, how they stand and how they walk. Find out what they read, who they listen to, and catch the essence of their souls. A bystander asked the sculptor, how do you sculpt a horse out of granite? The sculptor replied, you simply chip away everything that doesn't look like a horse. Art or science, emotion or logic, people or products. Here's the success formula. Art plus emotion times people equal a happy, healthy, successful business experience. Lesson, it's always too soon to quit. Hang with winners and become like them. The end of Chapter 5 of Raising a Giant by Bob Crisp, read by Will Zanders.